Morning all, and welcome to another nail-biting episode in the life and times of the Audi here, and what happens to it when it goes from its petrol gooiness to electrical goodness. Very busy last couple of weeks, helped in small part by my temporary unemployment, which is a great thing, but of course that's a DIY to go on in the house, so I had to balance it between shelving and electrification. So, but it's good, I can be able to focus on this a lot more. A lot of tidying stuff up before I started getting into the motor bits and bobs. So small things like got the steering box, the steering pump cradle, took it out, cleaned it down, painted it up, satin black, in you go. That's all tidied away. What was the other thing? Battery box as well. So I was cutting away the old battery box from the Leaf and then test fitting it, getting the clamshell bit on the top, cutting that up, fitting that in, putting it underneath, and it actually fits better than I thought it would. Yeah, there'll still be a little bit of the spare wheel well. It needs to come back that yay much, so it'll sit right up in that. But then it's pretty much flush with the bottom of the spare wheel well, which is perfect. I'm going to try and reuse a couple of the connectors, the main high voltage connectors that came from the Leaf. There's loads of them there, and so that's that. What else have I done? Well, the big one was getting the adapter plate back, and it was just perfect, just as I thought. So big shout out to Steve there. He just did a beautiful job on it. It looks immaculate. So it offered it up perfect. One change did make was I'll show you in a video, is when you offer the plate up to the motor, there was going to be some fouling of the bolts when you brought the bell housing of the gearbox against it, one or two places, and just to make it all uniform and nice and tidy, I had a 20mm plate to play with, so it brought and countersunk the bolts down by about, I think it was 8 or 9mm. So then when the bolts are sitting bolted up to the motor, they all sit nice and flush out of the way with the plate, so then you can just bell housing on, bolt them up, and it's lovely. You'll see loads of video of that later. So that was the big thing, and so got that done, and then finally it was able to yesterday roll in the crane and lift the big lump off the bench. Finally got a free bench now, so took that all off and lumbered it in, and over a few hours there's a bit of messing with mountings and all that, but it's now sitting nicely. So I just need to bolt up the drive shafts. I've got the gear linkage connected up, and after that now it's just getting two mounting points for the engine. I know where they are. There's one on the left hand side which can bolt straight up onto the left, and then there's a top bolts which can come over and drop down to the right hand side bolt, what's it called, mounting. So without further ado, let's have a look, see where we are. So as you can see, here we are. It is all bolted up. It's lovely. It just fitted so well, and it actually looks well. I'm glad. It was well worth the wait. Space wise, here, let me get a torch. Let's play find the torch. There it is, where she should be charging. Now, let's put that there. So yeah, so that's all lovely. You just need to bolt up the half shafts there. That one's sort of sitting in place, and yeah, look at all the space. So you can imagine the inverter will probably sit around here. Junction box in front. It might be sitting fairly low. It's just loads of space. What I need to do is, of course, I was talking about the mounting there. I've got 1, 2, 3 points here. They have a plate, and then bring it across to hang off that. Same over here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Plate to go onto there. On top of that, build up some sort of frame which will hold the which you can bolt the inverter into. Now, it's a choice of whether we fabricate something up so the inverter is sitting actually in the shell on the actual chassis, or is it going to be mounted off this subframe here. We will decide that fairly soon. Other things to take into account is cooling. So you have the two input outputs here, which will all be going into the inverter as well. What we will do, obviously there's the header tank. That output comes down here, and what we can do is we can, let's put you up here for a second. So what we can do with regard to cooling is, I do have a small rad. This is the auxiliary radiator out of Audi Coupe Quattro, which they usually sits in front of the main radiator. Yeah, that's fine. It's still a bit bulky for what we need. It's the right size. The pipe size are a bit different. That's not a biggie. What I was thinking about this morning when I was having my brekkie, that motorbike radiators come on all shapes and sizes and are nice and compact, and like one would happily sit down in here. I've got the air coming up through here. That's going to be my air source for cooling, so it's going to sit down here, slight angle or whatever, because we're not going to need anything in here. We don't need any more cooling. In actual fact, I'll actually block this off to prevent any water ingress and all that coming in this way and getting in. There will be water getting in, but the less coming in directly in here, the better. So right across here, and then let's have a look at the battery. So then we come to these. So how these are going to fit in, not sure. I was initially thinking of a battery box of some description going along here. Don't know how many will fit in there. Different configurations. I don't know. It's not going to fit that way. That way. It's going to be too close to the motor. But we could probably stack them like so. Making sure they're not getting in the way of the radiator. But either way, it'll be in a box that's going to sit in there. We can also look at stacking here. I don't know, there's a couple of different ways. So that's another thing to look at. Wiring, as I said before, I'm reusing. I'm going to put the VCU down where the ECU used to live in the passenger footwell. And since then, I've been mapping all the cabling. So if you look down here, I've mapped all these to the wiring inside, so I know that this is the idle speed valve, this is cold start valve, what's that? Something else, idle switch, and here's knock sensor 1 and 2. There's a few other bits and pieces. So I can repurpose these, into the VCU. So out of the VCU, you have your throttle, obviously, your signal in, your throttle, your 5 volts, your loop. There's a lot of loop back. So the the contactor, positive, switching them on and off. So a lot of these can be repurposed back down there. So originally I fed a couple of 5 wires back down into the footwell through that hole there for the throttle, back down to the pedal, the new pedal position. Did I mention that? Oh, sorry, I probably didn't mention that in the initial review. Yeah, I've also done the pedal in place. So that's in there. So I then fed wires down there and feed them up here, and I was like thinking afterwards where the VCU is going to go. I was like, no, it's going to go down there, so I don't need cables going up and down. I can just feed them across inside into that control unit, down the passenger footwell, and we're away. So there's not a lot really. So I don't need to take away too many of these wires. I can reuse quite a lot. Let's see, I think there's 2 of them here. These fellas. Nope. These 2. They're for the gearbox. One speed and one is reverse. So yeah, they just go straight back down to the gearbox where it is there. And very happy the way this is coming together. Yes. After that, then we'll run our positive and negative to the back. Might as well. I'm going to put the test battery in the boot for the time being and temporarily rig it up. I'll leave all the contactors and all that in there. We'll use the contactors that are in the Prius pack to get ourselves running. But I think the first things first is I want to get the engine sitting not on a piece of cardboard. It's not professional to have it sitting on a piece of cardboard. But yeah, that's what I'll do next. I'll get this mounted, a bit of welding, cutting, shooting, and we should be good. We are deciding how we're going to put this throttle in place. The leaf pedal. Yeah, as we took out the old one, in retrospect, we could have very easily have gone for the original pedal plus its cable all the way up the top, all sort of it was all still sprung, and you could have put it on a like a potentiometer kind of device, Hall effect, basically innards and all that, up in the engine bay, and it's basically actuated by the pedal and the cable. I may do that in the future because it would make this a bit easier, but we're here now, so let's come up with a solution. My eagerness to rip out the pedal, yeah, got the better of me. So let's decide how we're going to mount this here. So I've been playing around with it. Basically location is going to be roughly here. Give enough pedal travel there. What we have here as well, I showed you before, is this is the mounting plate for the original accelerator pedal. It's all cast aluminium unit which holds the clutch, which will be deleted, and the brake, and yeah, all that. So what we can do is we put this in. I get some heavy gauge sort of steel, which I'm going to reuse from the Leaf. And you're going to have a plate that's going to go down here and across here, 2 bolts, and then just sort of strengthen it. Probably just put a triangulation, sort of put a brace across there as well. So, as usual in the Audi 8E workshop of magical treats, we're going straight back to cardboard. We know that this is the highest tensile cardboard you can get on the market, so we said, right, we're going to go for this again because it works so well with the battery box. And yeah, let's work wonders with this. So think about it. That's going to kind of sit back like that, and we're going to do a bit of jiggery pokery and see how this thing matches up. So let's do some fast forward. Here you go. Sort of cutting and shutting and test fitting and everything. This is the plate that I made up. It just needs to weld up some seams, drill some holes for the plate. But I'm very happy with that. It's very, very strong. Still will need just a piece to go across here, just to triangulate it there, but we'll just fit it in here. Just show you how it looks. So I'll put it there. The bolt in. And yep. Okay, another step. There you go. Bit of extra strength there. Please ignore the ugly welding underneath. It was a lot nicer on top, I promise. So there you go. It's very sturdy now. Nice chunk. So I've offered up. Drill the holes. Oh, where are they going to go as well? Into that plate. And that sits like that, and the pedal sits just lovely. Here it is. I'm just going to clean it down, give it a bit of lick of paint. I added this extra section here. Sorry, this is the extra section here. I found that when I was pressing the pedal, there was a bit of a twist in the body. So this, along with this, gives it that extra bit of strength. And I tried it out there for a street. Let's clean it, give it a lick of paint. There we go. Finished article in satin black. Yeah, it's a bit rough in places. I actually had to widen up the holes a bit, but yeah, quite like that. It's very sturdy. Do the job. So, and then I just, to save me fiddling around with nuts and bolts falling down the carpet, which happened earlier, made myself just a back plate here. So it makes it much easier to just bolt it up to. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a go. So if we offer it up, it sits in like so. And pedals nicely tilted there. Yeah. So let's get it bolted up. That's it, pedal in. A lot of chopping and changing, but very happy with that now. All ready for its wires. There's no hardly any movement in that now, no flexing, so that ain't going anywhere. One last thing I have to do here is what I did was we showed you in the video there. We just countersunk these fellas here to so the bolts, when we bolted up to the motor, are all flush, so there's no interference with the bell housing. But one last thing we need to do as well is just need to tap the threaded mounts out on the motor. It's an M10 thread, but it's a slightly different angle of the pitch. I can't remember the name, somebody will know out there. There's another different name for it. So when you take a normal M10 bolt and try and thread it up, you'll only get so far. So what I need to do is just gently just cut the threads just that to the standard ISO M10 thread. And once you have that done, I think they put it in as a safety mechanism. It's like when you see the Torx, some of the Torx security Torx bolts on here. So here's a standard M10, and that'll go straight in now. So 2 down, a couple more to do. Okay, not very pretty. Got 3 bolts in, hold it all together, and PCU's paired up. That's all in. Pedal temporarily taken out of the car for this demonstration. Nice. There's much vibration there. There's virtually nothing out of that at all. No vibration. The clack in there is probably the end of the what you call it, the coupler, just tapping on the back. We can get rid of that. That's brilliant. That is a steady. She's ready to go in the car. There's a lot less play when she's in gear, and I think some of that clickety clacky, apart from just the coupler, I'd say there's a bit of noise coming from the gearbox as well, but that is solid. That's not moving. The only place it is going to be moving to is into that car. Let's do it. All bolted up, bottom to top. Time to get this lump moving. All balanced up. One downer. Let's see what we can do. So there we go. We've made some good progress the last couple of weeks, helped in part by my temporary unemployment. It's great. It's given me lots of time to focus on this. So as I said earlier in the video, the next steps, once now this motor's in, is just bolting up the drive shafts, making up the mounts left and right here to get the motor sitting up a bit off the subframe, and at the same time building a small frame on top to sit the inverter, which I've sat in there, and a couple of blocks of wood. Just sitting in and see what configurations work. Originally I was going to have it sort of sitting longitudinally so I could put the high voltage junction box alongside, but what I've done here is, I'll show you, I've reused the Nissan Leaf 3-phase cable from motor to inverter, and that saves a whole lot of hassle because you've got your terminals already in there and they're all rated, very overrated for what we need, and they're shielded and all that type of stuff from the clearance. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for, to reuse as much out of the Leaf as possible. So that's probably where it'll sit. After that then, yeah, radiators, when I get cooling, so the cooling runs through the motor and the inverter back through the radiators here and up to the header tank. And so with I'll show you here, using one of these pumps from a Leaf as well. I scavenged 2 of these off a Leaf the last time. They have 2 of them in the system. Now obviously not a lot of cooling for the the motor inverter and converter and all is needed. But I think they have AC and all that in it as well. So whether or not to put in a second pump in there is redundancy, I'm not sure, but I'll be reusing this one anyway. So you have to just figure out what cable does what. I wouldn't say it's too complicated as it dribbles on me. So yeah, that's it. I reckon we could have this going by, what are we now? Wednesday today. Have it going by next week, I would think, because yeah, I just need to run the positive negative back to the battery pack. I'm going to run the that Prius pack in the back, and I'm going to try and just wire up my high voltage junction box here. There we go, which will sit like so in there. And yeah, why not just rig it all up and then I have the VCU in. I will do. And see what it can do. So yeah, stay tuned for Rolling Wheels. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, spread it out there to anyone who may have a weird fondness for this type of thing or think it's a heinous crime that I'm destroying a classic 93 Audi. I'm sure there is one person who's disgusted at what I was doing. He likes his, I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, I love petrol cars, petrol, diesel. I'm a motorbike fiend as well, so I just want to do something different, give this a second life, see what it can do, especially with the new, especially with the likes on openinverter.org, where you find all the information. There's loads of different projects. There's not just mine. There's so many other ones. There's somebody just doing a BMW Isetta. There's a Tesla on there. What am I saying? The DeLorean. There's a Nissan Figaro. There is what else is on there? There's loads of stuff. There's Subarus. BMW, lots of BMWs. Yeah, all sorts, all being fitted with Tesla kit, Toyota Prius, Lexus, all that different hybrid and full electric kit. As in taking the hybrid kit out of the cars, but making them fully electric, repurposing them in cars that would ordinarily go to the scrap heap, because you can see what might be happening is another one of these scrappage schemes happening where they just want to send perfectly good cars to the scrapper when they give money back to people so they can go and buy themselves a brand new OEM electric car. While we could be doing this, you can design certain platforms that will fit certain types of subframe chassis and all that. So in essence, this could be a kit, could be designed for this. If somebody came along and wanted to do an Audi 80, they buy the plate, they buy the mounting points and all that, and the rest is kind of, yeah, very little. I'm doing all the work here, just figuring it all out for this. But if you imagine doing a, say, for take Mark III Golf shares the same platform with the Jettas, the like Passats, very similar to Passats. I know they have transverse and longitudinal engine, but I mean, a lot of the other bolt-up fittings will be similar. So yeah, so that's fine. That's what I'm doing this. Bit of interest. And see how far it will go on the 24 kilowatt pack. So that's enough waffling. I'll see you next time. Hopefully with wheels rolling. Bye bye.